That's nature.
Hello, and welcome to episode 21 of JDUB and Friends podcast. Today I have ALG, also known as ALoyalGamer. How you doing today?
Good brother, how are you?
I'm doing all right, can't complain. It's kind of hot down here in Florida, but other than that, it's not bad. This gentleman here, I've watched do a lot of different LPs. I watched him and actually helped me through his with Sweet Coding. Definitely one. Two, I haven't got to play yet because as soon as I moved to Florida, all my stuff's still up in Michigan, so I haven't got a chance to play it yet, sadly. But yeah, he helped me through Suikoden, he helped me through Metal Gear Solid, just a couple games. But yeah, it's a nice guy. He's done man, you've been off of YouTube now for how many years now? Probably about 10?
More
Well,
than that.
yeah, it's
Probably
nuts.
like 11, 12 years, would be surprised.
It's crazy. Been a while. Yeah, I was hit, a little hit when I seen he was leaving. I was like, no, what? But so what we're gonna start with today, which I usually start with on my podcast, is some news. Did you see any of the Gamescom this last week?
No, I have not. I've not been able to.
There was a few announcements, not kind of explaining, games that already been announced, but they're kind of giving more information. Like Dune Awakening, they just announced a little bit more about it. The game that I think a lot of people are going to be excited about is that new Indiana Jones game that's coming to the. Apparently, it's coming to PS5 now and Xbox Series X. So yeah, that's going to be. Think that's coming out this year. I think is what they had said. I missed parts and pieces of it. This new Star Wars game's called Star Wars Outlaws. They also have a new Batman Arkham game coming out. Sadly, it's just for the VR, so won't be playing that. Yeah.
Arkham's cool, man. I
Oh yeah.
played it with some friends. Yeah.
Yeah, the first three Arkham games I beat. Origins I haven't beat yet, haven't got the chance to. Um, and then apparently there's gonna be a mouse PI game coming out. Basically, our private investigator is a mouse, which is cool. I think the biggest announcement though, which is a game that I've played. The first game I beat with a couple of my buddies. Haven't played the second and third game yet. Going to be kind of getting to it, but Borderlands 4 got announced.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, so Borderlands 4 is coming out in the next couple years. Did you play in the Borderlands games?
I played the first two a little bit back in the day,
Okay.
just to try to get into it. Yeah. I mean, I ended up being more like into other online games, like Team Fortress was my thing. A little bit of Overwatch, other Scrolls, like things like that.
Okay.
I didn't really get too much into online multiplayer stuff. I think it's just because limitations in my processor, that type of deal. But also, it's like I was also doing LPs. I was super duper busy, so I didn't get nearly as much time to play the games that I wanted to. But yeah, I've heard of all that stuff. I think it's all good. It's a good game.
Yeah, I love Borderlands. I was Malachi, the original run, with a nice bird, and you just kind of kill people with a bird and sniper rifles. That was my go-to. I played a little bit of the second one by myself, for like just to test it out because I was like, I want to see how it is compared to the first game. Man, Zero is insane. I love Zero just the way he does. So the movie, I don't know about the movie yet. We'll see how that is. I haven't watched it yet, but just kind of some of the casting. Jack Black
There's a
as
movie.
yes, their movie just came out. Cast is kind of. Let's see if I can actually pull it up. Give me a second. Got a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes for anybody that cares.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cast is as follows. Yes, I am using Wikipedia. It's too easy to not. Um, let's see. Right now, let me see what we got here. Where is the cast? There we go. Cast. All right. I don't know if any of these are spoilers. There might be. So if there are, whatever. It's been out for few weeks. Kate Blanchett is gonna be Lilith. Who's the one that can
I
phase.
love Kate Blanchett. Oh my God.
Yeah, she's in
That's
it.
awesome.
This is the one that I wasn't a big fan of. Kevin Hart as Roland. Which
Interesting choice. Okay.
Yeah, this one I was totally cool with. Jack Black is Claptrap. And then they kind of threw it all over the place. So they kind of went into the second game. They brought well, second and third game, I guess. Ariana Greenblatt is Tiny Tina. She's more in the second and third game. You got Florin Mutino as Krieg from the second game. Commander Knox is in this movie, played by Gianna Gavarkar. Mad Moxie's in it from Borderlands 1 by Gina Gershon, and also Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, a few other people. So it's gonna be a lot. There's a lot of cast and characters in this movie that may make it good, may make it bad, but I don't know. There's just so many casting questions. Like Roland, I would have seen as a bigger, taller guy than Kevin Hart, in my opinion. But that's just me. So now we got some of the news out of the way. I have 5 questions for you for people to get to know you. Obviously, I know you pretty well because of watching you. Yeah. Um, so my first question for you: your favorite video game of all time?
Oh, that's rough. I feel like with a lot of, gaming in general, there's always room for that first tier slot to be replaced down the road.
Hmm.
Um, that is rough. I have so many games I could qualify for that.
Hmm.
I mean, if we're talking about, I don't know, like, how would you rate like childhood nostalgia versus like games that are actually like really, really good? Because when you're a kid, it's like you're playing everything for the first time and the dopamine just activates and you get
Yep.
that first hit of like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then later in life, you appreciate games with more complexity and you're like, oh, like this is really good.
Hmm.
I guess my long-winded answer to this, if we're talking about a game that just completely floored me, that would obviously be Splatoon 2.
Hmm.
Um, it's still my favorite RPG, and there's a lot of contenders that are like very close number two spots, but I would have to say that Suikoden 2 still reigns supreme. Um, but there's just so many other good games out there. Like Metal Gear Solid 3 was another game that had that effect on me on my teens. I didn't play Suikoden 2 until I was like 19, 20 years old. But
Okay.
when I was 14 years old, Metal Gear Solid 3 was again that game. So again, I those are my first two Let's Plays, so that tells you all you get to know right there. So I guess they would be tied between those two games, just depending on the era of my development as a person.
Makes total sense. Yeah, those were a couple of games that I enjoyed watching. I haven't played them yet, like I said, but or Metal Gear Solid 3 I have, but Suikoden 2 I haven't. Metal Gear Solid. Did you hear speaking of Metal Gear Solid, they re-released the first 3 games on PS5 and also did the Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2 which were released, but they were like on the Famicom and NESs back in the day, so almost impossible to find.
I I heard that they were completely revamping Metal Gear Solid 3 in
Yeah.
2025.
Yep, Snake Eater's gonna be
So
called Delta or something.
yeah, Delta. So that I think I'm really excited for, because that's going to also be released on PC. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to soup up my rig a little bit. So I got a better processor and video card on the way. So I mean, I was probably going to keep it a surprise, but hey, if you watch this podcast here, you'll know what's coming to you ahead of time. Very likely that's going to be on the horizon for streams.
That'd be sweet. That'd be real sweet. Since you kind of answered the second question a little bit, but what was your favorite LP that you've done?
Ooh, that's very different. It can be a very different answer from that.
Okay.
So obviously, Suikoden 2 as a Let's Play was probably my most important Let's Play. That was a Let's Play that sort of introduced me to other LPers who loved the game, like Luca Jen.
Mhm.
You may know her. She's a huge Suikoden fan. Um, when Nintendo Capri Sun and I first started talking, that was the first Let's Play that he watched, and I went through a whole bunch of my old videos last night, just kind of going down memory lane and looking at myself like develop
Mhm.
as a person. So there's a lot of good. There's some bad, embarrassing moments, but I saw this old comment by Nintendo Capri Sun, like, wow, it was like the first Let's Play of a game that I've never even heard of. And I don't know if it was the way you did it or the game itself or a combo of it that just totally captivated me. And that meant a lot to me. Like, that was huge. Um, so I guess in terms of like a formative Let's Play, Suikoden 2 was probably it.
Mhm.
But in terms of a Let's Play that, I just kind of poured like my entire heart and soul into like all of my knowledge for in terms of like, doing like high quality videos, I would say actually Suikoden 3. My Suikoden
Mm.
3 Let's Play was actually, I put in so much time just editing all the videos, making sure that everything was good. I put everything in separate playlists. Like I just went overboard with it. And I think that was kind of like the Let's Play to kind of end things because I put in so much work that it just ended up like I just burnt myself right out.
Mhm.
Like the amount of like intensity that I put into completing that game, editing it, all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, like work wise, I would say Suikoden 3 was actually like my top, my peak tier.
Mm.
But Suikoden 2 is what put me on the map. So,
Yeah, Suikoden 3 from what I watched, it was so many different paths and so many different stories, and it was just like they tried. I don't know if it's just because it was 1 and 2 were so kind of, I'm not gonna say linear, but they kind of were compared to 3. 3 just felt like they were trying to do way too much at one point, and that kind of it's like, oh, that's a lot trying to get all these stories together.
Suikoden, Suikoden 3 is really extra. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think that as like a regular game to play, it was very different, very ahead of its time.
Hmm.
So as a Let's Play, if you're an organized Let's Play, it was very challenging to do. You couldn't do the Let's Play linearly. You're absolutely right. Like Suikoden 1 and 2, very linear, straightforward games. Suikoden 3 was like you can play three characters in any order you want. There was a bonus fourth character. And then eventually all of those storylines merge into one storyline towards the end. Very complex.
Yeah, it just I've like what I've seen it and I've like watched you play it and a few other people play Suikoden 3. I'm like, what happened from 1 and 2 to make all of a sudden go, we need pass. Let's just split it off.
Yes.
But I don't know. So ironically, going along with Suikoden and all the Suikodens, what is your Mount Rushmore of Suikoden characters?
Other than the three and Suikoden 3, I mean, there's your happy your mouth martial Um, and that's crazy because you have over 100 characters, playable characters in each of those games.
Hmm.
So in terms of like my Mount Rushmore, I guess, um, going across all the first three Suikodens that I LP'd,
Hmm.
I would have to say probably Chris from Suikoden 3. Chris is one of my all-time favorite characters. Um, Hugo's really good. I love Hugo. Obviously, um, let's see, Ryu, Joey from the first one, Nanami, and then Tyr. Tyr McDowell is, he doesn't say much, but he just his storyline is just devastating. I think his storyline is probably the most devastating out of all the Suikoden universe,
Hmm.
with the exception of maybe the protagonist from Suikoden 4, which I think the rune of punishment in that game is really just like an overdone soul eater. I feel like the soul eater carried a lot more meaning than the rune of punishment did. So there's a lot of like backstory and lore. I'm not going to waste your time, but I feel like Tier's probably like the unsung hero of the first two games because he is in the second game too.
Hmm.
And a lot of the stuff that you do in Suikoden 1 had an effect on the sequel. So I think that Tier McDowell's probably like the toppest of the Mount Rushmore. And then everybody else I mentioned is like right underneath.
Makes sense. Do you have a favorite rune from the Suikoden game?
Uh, I would have to put that on the Soul Eater. I
Mm.
really like the mechanics of the I like the mechanics of the rune at the beginning that
Hmm.
split into the sword and shield rune. Um, but with Suikoden 2, as much as I love that game, there's just things in it that didn't really make sense.
Hmm.
In terms of the dynamics between Ryu and Joey. Um, but the Soul Eater, is just it's crazy. It's like the whole concept of like wielding power, but you have to sacrifice people you love in order to
Hmm.
use the power of the rune to create the greater good. So it's kind of like a bit of a microcosm of like political change
Hmm.
in real life, just making those sacrifices to make the land a better place for all, but you lose so much in the process of doing that.
Yeah, yeah, that was what was coolest to me in the speed coding games is the runes. I feel like it gives you different options at that point with, certain characters work really well with certain runes and then other characters don't work well with the runes like oh, I can't think of the guy's name. It's gonna bug me. I can see him, but he was really good with everybody put the win rune on him because he was the best with the win rune through the first two games, I believe, and then after that he was, you know, not as big in the
Ooh,
yes, thank you.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep. And
That was an unexpected villain arc. Like that
yeah,
really surprised me. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't expect that one. I liked Luke. He was pretty good character from what, from the first couple, and then all of a sudden I was like, you're a villain? What?
He was actually more of a minor character. Like Luke
Yeah,
was just kind of like an afterthought, and then they took him and like repurposed him into this bigger, grander
yeah.
thing. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a couple more questions for you. Usually I do five, but we're fine. What is a YouTube collaboration or an LP collaboration that you would love to do in the future? It could be like a hope,
Too
prayer.
many to list. Too many to list. So one of my plans is I'm holding off on console gaming, like in terms of like the newer ones that are out.
Hmm.
I'm holding out for the Switch 2. And I think that the Switch 2 is going to give me a lot more opportunities to do multiplayer online collaborative stuff.
Okay.
Nintendo, in my opinion, is kind of like the king of multiplayer. So newer games that I definitely want to like play along with like Josh Jackson or Liam Six or any of my buds.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I think in terms of like collaborative projects, definitely like a future thing.
Hmm.
But right now, like I don't really have much to work with. I just have like I have a bunch of older consoles. Again, I'm holding off on PC stuff until I upgrade my hardware. But in terms of like console stuff, which everybody's going to get the Switch 2 at some point,
Hmm.
definitely going to go in that direction.
Yep, I understand. I have the Switch one, but not, and basically every console ever created, so I know that is.
I
My
know.
it
It's awesome.
is real nice. It's real cool to have like stuff like that. My last question. Let's say that there's an LP. I feel like you probably have one on the top of your head right now that you could think of, maybe. That you would love that you're like, man, this was not a great LP. I was in a bad place in my life or something, happening or something like that. Is there any LPs that you would like to redo? Like, is there a main one that you're like, man, this was a bad LP. I could have done a lot better. I could have come up with more information. I could have done something better for it. Is there any that you could think of?
For one, I have roughly four Let's Plays I started and never finished.
Yeah, that too.
So that would be basically those four.
Mm.
Every other LP I am satisfied with. I tried the best with the tools I had at the time. So each respective time, I try to push myself, to improve the quality of
Hmm.
the content. I guess if I had to select one of those other LPs,
Hmm.
I probably should have waited a little bit for Metal Gear Solid 4.
Hmm.
I did the entire thing in standard definition back then, and I didn't quite have like a high definition capture card
Hmm.
until a little bit later. Do you remember? Because you've done a little bit with recording in the past, maybe like
Yeah.
you remember like the Hoppage HD PVR, the USB thing.
I've seen those. I actually, because I'm cheap and basic, I record from my PS5. But I
Well,
remember,
back in the day,
yeah, yeah,
back in the day, we only had like a USB. They were all crap.
yeah.
So I was very like, I didn't know about the HD PVR, but
Hmm.
I only had my standard definition capture card. So the entire Let's Play was just like recorded in lower quality. But the big four that I couldn't or didn't finish because there's just too much going on in my life.
Hmm.
I had an Arc the Lad 4 Let's Play, which I absolutely
Great
love
game.
that game. Arc the Lad 4 is like amazing.
Yeah.
Magic Carpet, it was a very old DOS. It was DOS game. I didn't finish that, probably never will. Uncharted 2,
Hmm.
I started an Uncharted 2 Let's Play, and there's another LP, and the names just slipped off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
there's about roughly four. So that's the answer to your question. There's four Let's Plays I never should have started,
Hmm.
bit off more than I can shoot type of deal.
Yeah, Arc the Lad Twilight of Spirits is one of my favorite PS2 RPGs of all time. It's just so good.
Criminally underrated.
It is
Yeah.
very, yeah, and the bad thing for it was it came out like right near Final Fantasy X, and FF10 was such a big hit that anything that was coming out near that point was not gonna be as big. But then, Dark Cloud 2 came out later on in 2003 too, so that was another game that was kind of a big hit for the PS2. I love that game. So much fun. Um, so now we've talked about a little bit of your questions. I've gave you some news. Since you've been gone for a while, now you're coming back to content creation. Where have you been? What's been new in your life, I guess, since then?
School.
Yeah. Yeah.
School has totally consumed my soul the last, say, like 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So obviously when I went to undergrad, I was scared out of my mind because, I was horrible at the sciences. I was horrible at math. I was horrible at it all. And I was taking all these courses that were way, like, way difficult.
Hmm.
Like 2 years of chemistry, 2 years of physics, calculus. I'm like, oh my God, like, how am I going to push myself through? But somehow I did. I found ways, classes at other schools that were a lot more relaxed, not as intense as the big school here
Hmm.
in Buffalo. It's University at Buffalo. Big school has the medical school and obviously the PT program that I wanted to do. So uh, we I made PT school, got accepted, and I did 3 intense years. Each semester was like 23 credit hours, so practically my life was like sealed shut for those 3 years. And I just had to buckle down and, barely sleep. It just work until I passed. Then I had to take my boards exam.
Hmm.
Took me a little bit longer than I would have liked, but um, now that all the work's done, I don't have to do any of that anymore. My life is my own again. So I just asked myself, am I mentally ready to come back? And if I'm gonna come back, to what capacity? So
Hmm.
I think Twitch is the way to go. I think it's a lot less work than returning to the traditional Let's Play format, and it's a lot more fun.
Hmm.
And even if people miss my streams, there's video on demand. So it's like you don't have to do any editing. You can
Right.
play whatever games you want. You can collab with people way easier. It just seems to be a better format than YouTube, which is usually 2 times the amount of work. Let's face it, a lot of people I feel don't really go on YouTube video game walkthroughs anymore, especially games that I kind of chose to
Hmm.
do. Um, so that's why I'm modernizing. Feel like I've spent my whole Let's Play career uh, just doing kind of the older, more classic retro games. And one of the smarter things that the rest of my friends did was they did games that were newer, games that were more Nintendo based,
Hmm.
and that's what people sit and watch is they want to see like those Nintendo games. And I was very frustrated, believe it or not, for the longest time because I just refused to touch a Mario game. I mean, I dabbled a little bit with Pokemon, a little bit with like
Hmm.
Game Boys, but I just was not one to like throw on like another Super Mario Sunshine LP when 7 other people that were already like established were doing like all these complex collabs and
Hmm.
things like that. So um it's just one of those things where you have to change and modernize without changing yourself too much to the
Hmm.
point where you lose the original reason why people subscribe to you in the first place. So I'm trying to gently progress
Hmm.
um, into newer territory.
Now, when you left Alpine, was you're a personal trainer now, but is was that kind of on your radar at that point when you started leaving LP, or was that kind of in your radar when you were a kid, or was it kind of something that you're like, well, I want to do this. This sounds like fun and kind of something I would be interested in.
That's a very good question. I never would have anticipated it's physical
Sorry.
therapist.
Yeah.
I never, no, no, you're good. Everybody mixes up between personal trainer and physical therapist. There's a lot of overlap.
Hmm.
But to answer your question, I never would have anticipated that I would be a clinical doctor when I was a kid. Even when I started Let's Playing, I thought I would be more so into video game design, graphic design. I actually had old videos that I uploaded where I was like, saying, "Oh yeah, I want to be this and that." Like back when I was 19, 20, I'm like laughing at myself, like, dude, you have no idea where life is gonna take you, bro. Like, I guess that decision to go to PT school came later, a lot later in my Let's Playing cycle towards the end, where I just had to sit down and kind of make some rough decisions with where I wanted to be in life and how much I had to sacrifice to get the results that I want.
Hmm.
So, towards the end, like I would say like 2015, 2016-ish, I was kind of fizzling out in terms of like just being burnt out in general. I feel like my engagement with my subscribers is just kind of dwindling. I had some other things going on
Hmm.
personally that spiraled me down to a deep depression. Um, and that was kind of showing through in my videos. So I just had to cut the cord. I guess I didn't want to like produce crap content when, I'm obviously was in a transition period. So I had to make a lot of rough decisions. And then obviously, as you know, the rest is history. But here I am, I'm back. My mental health has skyrocketed.
Hmm.
I'm physically fit. Yeah, I've done all the things that I wanted to do to develop myself as a person. And with all the new things that I've learned over the years, that's what I want to share moving forward in my Twitch streams. I want to sort of help people get a taste of what I've experienced and ultimately to make your life better, to enrich it. I think that that's the most important thing. Because there's a difference between like playing video games just for the fun and the sake of it.
Hmm.
But then it's like, well, if you're gonna spend time watching me, like learn these extra things, do these extra things, take care of yourself too. Don't just sit back and just kind of do the same things over and over. And I see that in a lot of like not all my friends, some of my friends have really like
Mhm.
taken advantage of their success and they're doing quite well. But um, for me, there's like I see a lot of other of my friends that are just doing the same old thing. Their engagement hasn't really improved. Like they're just kind of stuck in the
Mhm.
same spot that they were back in like 2010. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. Like some people really do need to just like step away for a little bit, work on yourself, but then when you're better, come
Mhm.
back, and really push yourself. So I'm really going to push myself in Twitch. I'm very serious about it. I'm here to stay. I'm not gonna, obviously, all the stuff that I needed to do right is
Yeah.
finally done. So yeah, now it's my time to pick up the controller again.
So I have a question because I'm a kind of a football fan. With physical therapy, would you, since you are near Buffalo, would you be able to do like some of the bigger sports names that come in from Buffalo? Like let's say Josh Allen, the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, people like that. Would that be some stuff that you would actually touch? Because I'm like physical therapy, when I think about physical therapy, is probably different from what you actually do because I am not very what's the word I'm looking for? Very informative, I guess, on all that stuff. Like I could tell you a little bit about what I've known from NFL because that's what I watch. And you're like, oh, you watch them on the sidelines, giving them taping somebody up or something like that, and they call that physical therapy. And it's like, I don't think that's kind of what it actually is. So, like, would you like do people that get injured come and see you, or is it kind of more where you're helping them get make their body better? I guess healthier.
So I work in a general outpatient. It's a private company that I work for. So I've seen a wide range of different patients, different backgrounds, different pathologies. I've worked with people with spinal cord injury. I've worked with people, grandmas, grandpas, back pain. I've worked with athletes,
Mhm.
just a little bit of everything. And that's what I like about outpatient. It's very diverse. It's relatively fast paced. So you're not dealing with the same population over and over and over again.
Mhm.
So I'm very, very happy and blessed with my experience working so far as a physical therapist. But PT is a lot of different things.
Mhm.
And another reason why I want to take PT to Twitch and fuse the gaming and the health together is because our profession has really bad branding
Mhm.
in comparison to like chiropractic, which everybody knows chiropractic, everybody loves it. People love the clicks and the pops and just ASMR stuff and all these different things. And the chiros are running nuts
Yeah.
and they're making money. They're doing social media, all this stuff. And it's like, well, what the heck do PTs do? Like, what makes us so special in comparison with chiros and the YouTube chiros that everybody watches? So
Mm.
the thing is that with what I do with outpatient, it's a ton of overlap between what we do and what chiros do, generally speaking.
Okay.
Um, we mobilize people, obviously, like we teach stretches. We can do all the same manipulations
Mhm.
as a chiropractor does. And it's just we teach exercises, we strengthen. So we actually have a broader scope of practice in
Mhm.
comparison to chiro. But the problem is that a lot of the online PT stuff isn't really as fun or exciting
Mhm.
as the chiro stuff is. But the limitation of chiro obviously is that they can only do like the one thing, just spinal manipulations and
Mhm.
joint manipulations. But I can do all that plus teach stretches. I can do all the same modalities and teach strengthening exercises. So what another plan of mine is to hopefully, this is going to be pretty cool, but when I start to meet people again,
Mhm.
like at cons and such, like maybe recording myself, giving them treatment, um, and just start to do some more physical therapy stuff, maybe on my YouTube,
Mm.
as opposed to going back to Let's Play. Yeah. So just kind of like giving people a window as to, what can PTs actually be capable of? What can we do? and there's a lot more stuff. Like we have like a better education generally. We have a lot more, well, wider scope of practice in terms of stuff we can do.
Hmm.
So um, definitely want to make videos, educating people. Yeah, you can see a PT or anything like a good chiro can do, but you get a little bit more because of the exercises, because the strengthening,
Hmm.
and just having fun. Just doing things outside of gaming that we can work together, and I can treat people as patients, or just goofy stuff. But I think that that's kind of like another pet project I want to start if Twitch works out and all, is
Nice.
doing some more like PT based stuff, and just kind of giving people that window of like, here's what I do. I can do all this cool stuff.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Like the only people that I kind of see that do PT is even like people I've seen on YouTube. It's mostly or YouTube or Twitch. It's mostly like I don't know. I guess it's kind of physical. I mean, I don't know. It's what DDP does. He used to wrestle for the WCW. He does a lot of the yoga, DDP yoga stuff, and
Yoga.
yeah, and does a lot of that stuff. He's probably the big. I would say he's probably the biggest that side of the you know set as I've seen. It's like a PT's not very big, thing outside of like sports, and then like it's not on Twitch like you said. It's not on YouTube really, like you said either. It's just kind of, it has this little niche little section that people they know about it, but they don't know about it. Which,
Right.
yeah. Did you have you since we are talking about DDP yoga, have you ever actually watched any of his stuff or tried any of his stuff? Does it actually work, I guess?
So I have not tried his branding of yoga, but for a while, I used to do hot room yoga, which, imagine like your standard yoga, but you're stuck in like a sauna.
Hmm.
And yeah, what I did was like a hybrid, like you would do like a few yoga stretches, but then you do like a little bit of calisthenic training. So
Okay.
we did a lot of like stuff with body weight, stuff with weights, and it was like an hour, 15-minute sessions. So at the end, you're just completely spent. And then when you like relax,
Hmm.
like into that, you finish off with deep breathing, they throw on a little music. They come over with like some mineral oils, or what, not mineral oils, what are those things that smell really good? Essential oils.
Okay.
They'll dab essential oil on you. It's really different. It's really fun. I haven't done it in quite some time, obviously.
Hmm.
Life kicked in and whatnot, but I've done yoga,
Hmm.
and I'm a huge fan of it. And in terms of how I practice, I give yoga stretches all the time to people. So in terms of like a guy who's taken yoga, which is traditionally female dominated
Hmm.
format, and to make it more vertisable and usable for men who also really need to stretch and mobilize too. That's huge. So I'm a fan of what DVP does in terms of like bringing yoga kind of like to men, to the masses. So I think that that's really, really important work.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I've seen wrestlers from back in the day that I watched, and I'm like, wow, like they were barely able to walk, and then all of a sudden now, after what doing his stuff, it's like they're able to move, they're able to do other things. Like
Yes.
I remember seeing Mick Foley, if anybody's knows who Mick Foley is, he was thrown off the top of a Hell in a Cell back in the day onto a table,
Yep.
and a lot of the stuff that he like after I think it was about like he said for like 5 or 10 years he could hardly walk. He was like trouble, struggling and everything like that. Now after DDP yoga and the stuff that you guys do, which is so incredible watching seeing that stuff that he went through, he's able to walk. He does his own stand up on stands stages now, and it's just like the stuff that physical therapists, yoga instructors, like I would say, are at least DDP anyway, what you guys are able to do with the human body to make you feel better, make you, a lot less in pain is actually incredible. So thank you for that.
course. Yeah.
Now, let's say this kind of just hypotheticals question, but let's say that myself, I actually I got T-boned a few years back and still have some aches and pains and stuff like that. Is there any like good stretches or any like massages or any place I should go to kind of get like the pains in my neck or pains in my back that could be taken care of?
Very good question, and thank you for utilizing my services. I
Mm.
appreciate it. So that depends on if you got T-boned really bad. Typically, hopefully you were a good boy and you were wearing your seatbelt at the
Yeah.
time. But okay, good. But a lot of it, a lot of the damage that comes from a car accident really comes from that seatbelt and the momentum of the impact. So obviously, the seatbelt's better than nothing
Hmm.
because it saved your life, likely. But you have that constraint, and then you have the force, and get stuff like whiplash, which is likely what you have. You probably have a little bit of disc herniations from it.
Hmm.
So at that point, if you have, it depends on your budget and what you want to do, and then obviously how big your health insurance is. So my personal recommendation is the easiest way for you to go about this
Hmm.
is to see a physical therapist, but I would do your homework. I wouldn't just go to any physical therapy place.
Hmm.
I would go see like a guy who practices on his own, or maybe like a cash based. So the thing about cash based PT, there's a huge philosophy in PT where you have these big businesses and they're very, very busy. They're just packed to the brim with patients, and it's just like a high volume. So that's an issue that insurances have created for us, where they keep reimbursing us less every year.
Hmm.
And then the government comes in and then they slash, they cut down the medical budget in this country, and a lot of the slashing comes from paying us less.
Hmm.
So in return, we have to increase volume. So that's how we compensate for that. So my advice is do cash-based PT. Get a person who's really, really good ratings. Do your homework. If you're going to go to PT, I would not just join a Jim and Bob.
Hmm.
Oh, like I'm helping three other patients while I'm helping type of scenario. If you ever find yourself in that scenario, I would just leave and
Hmm.
just go find something else. But if you're really a cheapskate
Hmm.
like I am, you could literally just go to YouTube. There's so many resources for you online. Obviously, you wouldn't have the ability for a clinician like myself to actually evaluate you and see what your limitations are personally.
Hmm.
So you lose the personalization of potentially stretches, exercises that you really need. But, if you want to just look up like neck stretches or thoracic mobility or lumbar mobility and core strength, core strengthening is huge. All that stuff is online, and
Hmm.
you could really challenge yourself, push yourself, and make yourself feel better, really without the need of anybody in the medical profession. So that's something that I try to tell people.
Hmm.
Don't rely on us. Don't fall back on us and use the medical system in this country because it's honestly it's in bad shape.
Hmm.
If you can take your health into your own hands and just try to be proactive about things, try not to rely on medicine as much as possible, that's going to increase your quality of life and obviously save you from unnecessary surgeries down the road,
Right.
that type of deal. Like I see so many people getting back surgery, they don't need it.
Hmm.
Like it's a horrible thing, but I see it like every day. And it's just like they were either suckered into it by their doctor. They didn't see a physical therapist first, which could have saved them from going under the knife. But once you go under the knife, that's permanent. Whatever you get is what you get. And sometimes you wake up in worse agony
Mm.
walking in. So just be very careful, do your homework, um, talk to people, like search all your options before you feel like you get that far, and then it's just like it's too late, you know.
Mhm. Now, we did talk about this a little bit, but I know you do have a stream this afternoon to get to. So, would you? So you said for the future for yourself is gonna be on Twitch, and then YouTube's gonna be your more of your your training with people and having them your therapy for people. Now, are you going to try like when you do go to cons, are you gonna live stream some like therapy sessions like with people? Is that kind of like your because I know you're talking about your futures. You want to kind of do stuff like that. Would that be kind of like something like, hey, here we're in a hotel room, with Chugga Conroy or Josh Jepson or somebody like that. I just use big names because everybody knows who they are. But is that kind of something like that type of thing that you would want to do? Like record those type things, explaining kind of what you're doing, how it helps people and stuff like that.
So, a big thing that I want to do is I want to practice in the space, the internet,
Hmm.
in a way that will kind of get me out of the traditional healthcare system.
Hmm.
I feel like people like us, younger generation people, we're going to start to need PT
Hmm.
because maybe a little bit earlier in life versus the older generation. So I'm trying to kind of like make my stake in this now,
Hmm.
because no other physical therapist is doing anything like I'm doing. So I'm trying to set myself apart. Definitely, I want to help my friends, obviously, but I eventually want to open up services in terms of like giving mental health counseling or
Hmm.
dietary advice or actual home exercise programs to help people. So I want to down the road kind of make like an online business format where I would basically see you just like in a Zoom call, or not Zoom, this is Discord, but
Yeah.
like Zoom calls, online evaluations, talking to people, and I would charge like a very cheap flat rate,
Hmm.
cash based. I feel like that option
Hmm.
is going to be a lot better because you're going to save money. You're getting a person to look at you, evaluate you, and give you a personalized plan of care,
Hmm.
as opposed to just, going to some mill somewhere and, grinding it out, and it's probably not even going to work.
Yeah.
Uh, so I want to create like my own like new unique path where I can help people, but just kind of using the internet as a space to do that. So again, that's in the works because I have a lot of legalities.
Hmm.
Uh, Probably I'm going to need like a lawyer, need to set up like myself as an LLC business type of deal. But um, once I work those kinks out, like definitely gonna try to do something like that. Again, kind of piggybacking off of Twitch,
Hmm.
and just kind of using that space to actually like give care because I feel like definitely needs it.
Hmm.
We all need it. So that's something in the works I'm planning later.
There you go. Yeah, it's incredible the stuff that you're doing now compared to like, when you were first coming out, with all your Let's Plays, and now you're, ever doing everything with Twitch, you're doing everything with your physical therapy, and it's just like incredible all the stuff that, how much your life has changed from 12, 13 years ago to now. It's insane. And I enjoyed watching, like I said, all your stuff you've done, and now watching where you're going with your life now is pretty incredible. So congratulations for that
Thank you.
on your YouTube page. This is Loyal Gamer's YouTube page. It's at Loyal Gamer. Is that also where you're going to be doing your uh, all your videos are going to be going when you start doing your therapy?
Yep. So you can go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Obviously, I haven't really uploaded there in a long time, but I'm thinking about doing like maybe some shorts, maybe yeah, do some video collabs with other Let's Players,
Mhm.
Twitch streamers, that type of deal. So any new content moving forward, probably not going to do Let's Plays, but we'll probably do a little bit more with like practicing
Mhm.
health type stuff. But yeah, my Twitch is going to be
Where I go,
the main site
I
for
just
content. So you could follow at Discord, obviously, and I also have Instagram where I kind of show a bit more of my personal side of my life and my own fitness journey too. So if you want to follow me there, just for some inspiration, my Instagram link, all my links are on my Twitch channel. So I just updated all of them, social media that I use. So feel free to follow any of those. But yeah, you're looking at very interesting new content moving forward into next year. So lots to look forward to.
So do you have? I'm just gonna ask because we're gonna see if do you have a nickname for yourself picked out yet besides ALG for when you become when you make it real big for physical therapy?
Honestly, I'm just fine with Dr. ALG.
Okay.
As you know, ALG was a nickname that was given to me by Nintendo Capri Sun.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of stuck. But obviously to create new content, you have to rebrand yourself a little
Hmm.
bit. So, the whole doctor thing just kind of stuck. So here I am, I'm Dr. ALG, and that's probably where it's going to stay with that.
Nice. Yep. That'd be really cool. Then you'll see how it goes in the future. But yeah, it was great having you on the podcast. I mean, I caught you basically near the return of ALG, the year of ALG. Um, but thank you for being on the podcast. I'm gonna let you get to your stream because I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. So thank you again, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you again, everybody, for watching this episode, and have ALG on pretty soon again when he gets more into that therapy going on and see how it goes in the future. So we'll do like a maybe a 6 month to a year update and be like, hey, this is what's going on in my life now, and see what's going on.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that too.
Thank you all for watching.